Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the beautiful landscape of Scotland. Today the landscape isn't only beautiful, it's extreme. But today we've come to a similar area to the last video. You may have seen me in Highlander at a cave in these lands, but when I was up this glen I actually looked at the hill. When I was thinking about hill forts in this area, there's actually an interesting hill fort up this direction that we're going to go to after the summertime conditions die back. But when I was looking up this way, I noticed that this hill here was also level on the top, which is really unique and unusual for this glen. It almost looks fabricated, and that's how a lot of those old hill forts were. Each glen often used to have one or two hill forts defending it, and some of these ones could be like unseen and hardly even documented. So for today's adventure, I'm back here at the high glen of Glen Clova. We're quite near the top of Glen Clova, near Glendall, and I was literally thinking about punching up that hill right there and seeing if it is an old fortified defence or if it is literally just a natural hill. But I didn't realise how extreme the weather was going to be, folks. You know how it is on this channel. Spontaneous adventures into lands like this. Crazy Scottish lands where the hills go so high that they're into the clouds on a day like this. Anyway, I'm going to pull the car in down here and we'll get a look at the hill fort from another direction, and I'll show you what I mean when I say it's got that look to it. You can see here there's a level part on that far hill. It's quite high in altitude for a day like this. I do apologise for rain on the lens at this early stage. Anyway, let's go down to the lower car park here and have a look at this place. Look at this, we're further down the glen slightly now. I've pulled the car into the lay-by because we've got an amazing view now of the level part of this hill, and it almost looks like it could have been an ancient hill settlement or whatever, and there was literally more than 3,000 of these hill forts in the UK, some of them documented, and other ones like that could potentially be this that nobody's hardly seen or thought about. The date from so long ago, it's like prehistory, you could say, dating back thousands of years. That could even predate obviously the crofts and things we see for like the 1700s and that. They're for a far more modern time. The hill forts were from an ancient time in Scotland when it was like prehistory to what we even know or understand. These lands would have been so different back then. That's why I'm always so curious to get boots on the ground on a hilltop like that and literally see what's there, and then figure out if it is a natural area in the land or if it is a hill fort. But because there's another one up here, you may think there wouldn't be one so close, but in many cases in Scotland we find hill forts quite close together. Often it was thought of a place in a glen where people would get refuge. Anyway, I'm going literally to the car park. Just when I saw that big boulder on the levelled hilltop, I thought I need to come here and show it from this angle as well, to give the viewers the full perspective of today's adventure. So check it out folks, we're on to the main mission. I've pulled the car in that little lay-by, and the cool thing with this actual hill fort, potential hill fort, is not only is it level from the area we looked, see now I'm down at the level of the hill fort, you can see it. It's crazy how it like stands out on the land, and it actually looks like if I stick to this ridge here up the land, I should be able to navigate to the top of the hill pretty easily. There is actually a lot of ferns and bracken at that higher level of the hill, so I'm hoping I can stick to the grassy route and then make my way up to this peak. And because we've seen it from a distance, we know there's a massive stone, so my goal is to make it to that stone and see what lies up on this crazy hilltop, and think about the view we're about to get. I love going on wee adventures like this to places like I've never been, and I have explored the far hill where the boulders and the cave are, but never this area. And over the years I'm getting better at like noticing the history or seeing where it is. And just check out this glen that we're in the middle of, folks. I've actually put on extra layers since the last clip that you saw. I've put on waterproof trousers, wellies, and I've put on a hoodie underneath this coat. So yeah, it's mad action folks. I'll update you once we're on this ridge. See this here folks on the wild hill, this is bell heather, and you can actually see, look, this is common heather right next to it, and you can see the clear difference. especially at this time of year. And look, I'm on this ridge line now. You have to think, if this had been a hill fort, would this have been an original way that people came up to it? Who even knows? Look, there's loads of sheep here. Anyway, I'll update you once I'm further up. I'm out of breath, folks, already, and I'm hardly even up the hill. Look at this for a view, folks. Looking up towards Glendall, and then the low clouds passing through the middle of the glen here, and then these high cliffs here disappearing up into that clouds at this side. It's just mad. I think I can see the peak. It's like there's a sheep path or something up through here. And look, we're quite high in the glen compared to the road, but when I turned around and saw that, it's like seeing a painting. The vast scene of a wild Scottish glen, the lower farmland, and then the crazy rocky lands that's too extreme to do much with. I love this landscape here, folks. It's a complete raw area with this kind of bracken and ferns growing. Then the grassy hilltop with the rock, and I think I'm nearing the area which seems to be levelled off, so it's cool to be getting close to the actual place. From down at the roadside I thought, will it even be possible? So it's cool I've gotten this high on the hill, and now and again I just stop and catch my breath. It's often like such a push to get up a hill like this, and then when you're wearing all this get up to stay dry, the temperature starts rising, folks. Because even though it's raining heavy today, it's not actually that cold. I think it was like 16 degrees Celsius, so decent temperatures. So as I come up further on this hill, it is almost like this area here has been landscaped or cut out for like an old track, because you can see it at this side as well. I'll see how it looks once we get further up here, but it is interesting to see that. Because I explore so many places, you kind of get to know the characteristics of what you're exploring. I would love to fly the drone around this site, but today the wind and rain's too extreme, because it actually looks like there is landworks here on the hill. It almost looks like lower ditches. And then look at this area, how it's level and cut out with a higher outer perimeter wall. This massive stones here as well. I think this is the one that I could see from a distance. What a madness, folks. The craziest of Scottish hilltops. And I'm still following the... It looks like this is kind of an old track. And I'm wondering if that's been the way it's come up to access the hill fort at a certain time. There was many fortified hills in Scotland, and that's why it's so cool to see them and see things like this. Wow. Look at it up here. The clouds are literally blowing up over those crags and peaks, and it makes for such an excellent atmosphere. Many folk would just stay at home on a day like this when it's extreme weather, but I love going out into an extreme landscape, seeing a piece of ancient history. And check out this stone. Wow. Even if it's rolled down from there, it's still an absolute crazy fact that it's here. Let's take a look at it, folks. Wow, this is an amazing piece of land right here. This was the area I was theorising had been fortified, folks, but sometimes with this ancient history, it's from so long ago, it can just be theory, or it's what you see when you've got boots on the ground often, like with this higher outer edge and then the lower centre piece, and there is like circles as if there's been stones and things built. Often when you're in such a rocky, hilly environment, it is hard to tell what's natural and what's built, and that's why I really wanted to come up here. When I noticed this from a distance, it's crazy there would be like a levelled piece of land with a higher outer perimeter, and then look at this, it's like it's almost been built around this stone. And you have to think, was this a sacred stone or whatever back at ancient times on this hill? Look at the view, now I've made it to the edge of this stone. Wow. It's fun to say this is probably the biggest standing stone I've ever been next to. What a crazy adventure it is to come up here. I'm going to have another look around and see what we've got up in this piece of land. You can see the sheep have been making it a shelter, and that's why it's so worn down around here. Wow, what an area. Scotland's got so many special little unique areas like this, and I just love going on wee adventures, different directions each weekend, and crazy little things. Even though we were at the cave in the last video, that's when I got the idea. I saw this from such a distance and I thought I want to go up there very soon, and now it's becoming exploring season. This time of year it's actually easier to get into more overgrown areas. Sometimes in the summer you just can't make it through these lands. Yes, we've punched up to this, and look at it here, this stone with that incredible backdrop. It is almost like a fairy tale scene, like an Outlander scene. The size of the stone with that behind it. Wow, it just shows how like unpredictable Scotland is. What you're going to see, really, like, it's just incredible. That could literally be a photograph you would have on your calendar, or you would think it was some fake AI generated photograph potentially. Yeah, it looks like there's been maybe deer or sheep kicking about within these ferns recently. I was wanting to get a wee look over this peak and then probably make my way around the perimeter of this place. What a madness. Every time I look at that stone I'm just blown away. Just think it probably originally, like, the most likely way it got there was it just came flying down that hill from the cliff face and ended up just stopping there. But then the way that the land looks here is like there's been ancient groundworks, because there's so much been levelled, and you can see it from the lower glen. So yeah, let's see if we can see any more remains of things that would give us more clue to history. There might be stuff here that clarifies if there has been human civilization here at a certain time. So look at this, folks, I'm standing in the middle of this wild field of ferns here, and you can see how these crags and peaks just lead on for miles in Scotland. And look how this little area, I theorised, could have been a fort. It's actually separate to the rest of the hill here with this surrounding, but actually closer to it, it's like there has been a ditch if you look at the lie of the land around that section. So I'm wanting to head up onto the top of here and walk right round so I can get a look down to the car and stuff and have a proper look at this place. So one of my favourite things about today's adventure, because I wanted to come up and look at this hill and analyse it, I've actually found this incredible stone which makes that view over the glen just so incredible. Now I'm up here right on top of some of this highest bit of the hill, and I'm just looking at the land to see if it's been levelled or whatever. And it is interesting to have a look at this and theorise of history. There is sections like this which do have level bits in them compared to how rough the natural hill is. Over the years I've come into so many wild places just to see historical wonders. It's cool to get back to it with videos like this. It's almost like a classic adventure right here. Yeah, look at it here. It's like there is like a square there. And what's this here, folks? Look, could be another potential square in the land. But then who even knows? It is just cool to theorise of all these things as we come into the land. In the middle, the crazy thing, I'm not so sure about this, whether this has been a higher wall area around, but it would be cool to go down in the middle, because it looks like there's a big deep ditch with a centrepiece. The wind's so strong at this point, blowing up from the lower glens. I do apologise if that's in the audio right now. I'm not even sure what route I should be going. This is just crazy. The ferns are so thick and deep. I think I'm gonna... I don't even know, because I want to see all the history that's on offer. Let's see if there's anything up here. This whole area has been levelled for sure. Or it is level, I should say. I don't know if it has been man-made level. It is interesting. This is what I could see from a distance, folks. There's completely level areas here, and it has got the look of an old hill fort. And some of these ones in the Scottish glens, the theory is that it was a local kind of community hill fort, and at the time of invasion or attack, the local community would like retreat to these places for safety until the invasion had bypassed. And that's like a theory from ancient times in history, because the truth is with a lot of the ancient hill forts, it's like unknown history, it's from so long ago. But with hills like this, I can see like the shape that it is, it's almost like it's been fortified. And it is cool to have that theory of the history on the channel. When I saw it yesterday, when I was up the other side of the glen with Highlander, I just thought I really want to come up here and have a look. And there's just so much of this hilltop here that's level. Nowadays, obviously, the ferns are still growing strong with the summertime environment. That's how I'm a bit wary, just like heading right through here. I did want to get to the edge where my car, well, look down to where my car is parked, like, but I think I'll go back and then we'll go and look at the main central area and go up from that side. Let's do it, folks. I'll update you once I'm over by the stone. So at this point, if my theory was correct, we would be pretty much inside the main hill fort at this moment. And you can see there's like a deep hollow leads around there. And then it's got this bit in the middle. It's almost like a wee island, you could say. It is just unusual, the shape of the land here, folks. I ken there's like a million different bits on the hill, but like this is the only bit shaped like this. And even from a distance you can see how level it is and how it looks like it's been at one time maintained. And the way that track came up the side, separate to this area, it's just so overgrown at this time of year. Maybe I should have waited like another month or so before I came up. And that's the reason why I'm waiting before I go to the other hill fort further up the glen. But maybe in the future we'll come back here with the drones and do a flyover and actually analyse the land from the air. Look at this, there's big hollows and dugouts around the side here. And it's like this here is all shaped like a circle. It's just so overgrown. There's so many natural stones on these hills as well, it's hard to know. Look at this, folks, there is actually like crazy bits there. It's maybe just natural stones. So this is the interesting bit that I saw in the land, you know what I mean, folks? I saw the level piece in the top here, but another thing, you can see the massive ancient stones that actually have a straight line round here and then the curve around. And the shape of it, it's like it's fully fortified in this area, defending it from the lower glen. And it's almost like this stone obviously has stood in the land since those ancient times. Potentially that stone stood there for thousands of years. But it's interesting just to see that. And it's like these have all been put in the line here, along the edge of this. And then we saw the level top area. It's cool to see that and theorise the history, folks, on the channel. Get in the comments as to what you think. Obviously you can look on Google Earth and things, but sometimes when you're looking at a certain place, it's not until you've got boots on the ground that you can really get a full aspect of the lie of the land. Sometimes as well, ancient maps or old maps can show things as well, but like I say, I just love being here and coming to places like this, seeing it with my own eyes. When I'm on another adventure at the other side of the glen, I just remembered there was a massive spider web here, and that was why the last time I went around the other side of the stone. See this, the spiders in this glen are called like orb weavers, and they go between the rocks, and they could be draped from that rock way over there to this one here, and literally you could walk through it. It'll just be halfway between somewhere sitting on the web, and if it goes on you, again, they're quite big and you get a fright. I don't mind spiders and stuff if I know where they are, but say if you just look down and there's one crawling about, that's when I get the biggest fright. Wow, yeah, this is today's adventure, coming and seeing this. And then the aspect of this hill, history from thousands of years ago potentially, but just throwing it on the camera. And I just love adventures when I explore pieces of land like this. And like, even though I've been exploring Glen Clova or Glendall for so many years, like I had never even known this crazy big stone was here. I think on a summer's day you could probably actually climb up that. I reckon I could climb up here, but it would have to be dry because you need proper grip on a stone. This is so cool because I've actually got the shelter from the rock now. It's mad I can throw the camera on when I'm in places like this and just share it with people all over the world. there's no way you could describe the way the clouds roll over the top of the hills. It gives you an aspect of the distance and the height when you see the clouds between you and the highest point. And then now and again it looks like the sun's trying to break through. It's almost like there's different weather through in Glen, which you can kind of see round behind these hills in front of us. It's mad, the character of Scotland. With different weathers, it takes on different characteristics. Look how dark those hills are today, and you get an aspect of that when you see the lighter hills way in the distance. And as far as I could see, away through there's actually massive hills disappearing into the clouds. And what a madness it's been, folks. What is this that we found today? With today's adventure, we've documented a mad piece of land, which is that area there, the hilltop, and then this stone. What a madness. It's like something from Outlander. That's the way I could describe it. From a distance, it looked like there was also a tree on this hilltop, but I think that's the tree that's away down there. Sometimes from miles away, you get a different aspect of the land as well, and that tree literally looked close to here. It looks like this area here has been shaped as well, like an old road leading down. And that's the crazy thing that I thought when I came up here. It's all those little things added together that we've seen, with old lines of stones and then the hollows like old tracks in the hill. That's what makes me think this area here has been a settlement. Maybe only one family, or who even knows how the culture of the land was back at the times when things like this were thriving. Like, how many folk were even kicking about in a place like this? Maybe your neighbour was like 100 miles away for all we know. These places could have also been strong points or strongholds on the land after the glaciation period. Maybe there was still a mad, serious amount of water down at the lower valley level and you couldn't have lived in there. Maybe they had to live up on these higher hills where it was decent ground. And who even knows how the climate was around back then as well. If we're talking thousands of years ago, it's super interesting to theorise and to think about. And it's fun on the videos to actually show you what's ground level these days, thousands of years later. Because I have documented a lot of these hill forts, and they're clearly not all dating from exactly the same time period. Obviously they're thought to be Iron Age, Bronze Age, but like, what else was going on in these lands? Look at the shape of this here. It's the true beauty of Scotland, and even on a rainy day like today, I just love coming out. I love exploring. Before I leave the site, I'm wanting to look up here, see what's at the other side of this ridge. It is scary often getting closer to these mad cliffs, because you do have to watch out for boulders tumbling down. Yeah, this is so cool to see. Look at this, folks. So before we leave this incredible site, folks, let's just take a look at it from this angle. Such an incredible big stone, and then there's a massive stone there that's almost like a table. And my theory is that this land here at Glen Clova, there had been an ancient settlement that cleared this land and levelled it and had it as a bit of a fortified hilltop settlement. And you can kind of see a faint remains of that from today. It's like it's had the ditches dug around the far side to fortify it, and then an area up here which must have been like a track or a road of entry. And I looked around the other side, and this doesn't continue in such a manner. It's almost sculpted. That's cool to see. Look at this, folks. From this vantage point you can see the lower levelled part of this fortified hill, and then we also documented the higher part. And then look how this road like area goes down through the land. To many people, like an amazing sunny beach or something would be paradise, but to me this is paradise. An incredible Scottish landscape. When I look around, I just get amazed by the way the clouds are just going over my head. And then to see the history like this from such an ancient time, it's almost like culture so ancient that you can't imagine it with modern thinking of like modern people or history. These folk were from such an ancient time. So it would be easy in the comments to say that this is nonsense, that it's actually a fortified hill. But I think also it would be nonsense to say that it's not, because I've documented so many places in Scotland over the years. Obviously I add together what I've seen at different hill forts, and this has got the complete characteristics of it. And especially the way that this hill is completely made like an approach road. It's like it's been cleared, but also it looks like it's been well trodden. Check it out, folks, this is a view looking down this side to Macar. And the incredible thing with the hill, there is actually like levelled bits there in the land lower down. You know how some hill forts have got the ditches? This hill also features that at the lower section there. And then you can see the edge of that levelled piece. And it's off, like, see the top part there that looks like quite a sharp angle? That's all smaller stones, it's not actually big stones. Which is another thing that makes me think it's been built there with stones that was manageable for carrying. Anyway, I'm making my way back down to this, what I'm calling the track. So the mad thing to consider with sites like this, and it's also the same thing that makes it hard to uncover the history properly, it's because they're from such a long time ago. Think of the hundreds and thousands of years that's passed since potentially that was constructed or levelled out, maintained. Yeah, as this track makes its way down the hill, there's these interesting bits at the side. Obviously it's hard to decipher natural stone and built stone, so I'm just going over to have a look each time. Could be an old burial mound right here, folks, made of these stones for all we know. Listen to it. See, when the rain lands on the Bell Heather, you hear it making that noise. It makes a popping noise or a crackling noise, and that's just literally the water droplets landing on the dry Bell Heather. It goes tss, 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 tss. And I wonder if that's how it was named. Yeah, this is interesting here as well, folks, because this piece of hill, I'm just looking at the way it's shaped, and it could have been also related to the site we've looked at today. I'm just thinking, did I go that way where I think the original road is gone? I'm going to have a look down this way, because I think when I came into this area I came up here. So let's have a wee quick look over this direction. All I can say with today's adventure, folks, exploring season is underway once again for this year. The conditions today were actually ideal for punching on up this hill. What I'm saying is a track, Ken, that who even knows if it was. It's cool to theorise that and look at the land, the way it's levelled. Just check out the view here from the top of this stone that I'm standing on. Wow, it is just breathtaking. And then it's such a dangerous landscape with this rocky, craggy land. Sometimes there can be deep holes and you can fall way down through between those boulders. And just think, most boulders on this hill, or every boulder pretty much at one time, has rolled down here. And it's just beautiful. I'm always blown away, and I'm just walking around, like spinning around in a circle here, in every direction I look. It's just amazing. Even this, look how fast those high clouds are moving. I can even see birds of prey up there that when I come out on the camera. And then you can see trees away up on the high hills, and they just look like little specks. But that's literally how big those hills are. It puts it into perspective. What a madness. Yeah, I think the track's actually down there, but here I am at the edge of it. But yeah, it's good fun to come into these places. It's actually hard to get to, and if anybody comes to this environment to explore, be really careful, because it's actually a super daunting environment when you're in such an extreme landscape. You need to stay safe. Boulders can come down the hill at any moment. But it is fun to come up here and theorise of the history. It's because I saw it from a distance that I thought there was even something here. It's cool to get boots on the ground and document it for the world to see, because every year historical locations can degrade more and more, and the history goes missing. Maybe generations in the future there'll be even less to see or whatever. If you imagine another 100 or 1,000 years, this will just look as wild as the other side here. And even if this hill fort today, folks, turns out never to have been at Hill Fort. It was still such a fun adventure to come up to that big stone, and that'll be a fun place to come to in the future, because even if it's a windy day, you can just go around the side of the stone where it's no windy. But another thing, on a super dry day, I would like to climb on top of that stone. And another thing, folks, we hate to come back here with a drone, and that'll be easier to actually see if this is a fortified hill. When I first noticed it yesterday with Highlander, when we were about a mile over there in the car and we could see the shape of the hill, he was saying if it wasn't windy we could fly the drone, but I was just wanting to come here pretty much straight away. Look at this area in the hill here as well. The shape of the land, it is just interesting, folks, but also it could be natural. There's such a fine boundary between a natural piece in the land or a constructed area that's been shaped over the years. I'm often just trying to decipher what I'm seeing as we go, and I'm just basically saying what I see, and we're along on these adventures together, like discovering wee historical nuggets. Wonder what's been in here at an ancient time. It almost looks like there's been something dug out in that area. Sometimes with gamekeeping as well on estates and stuff, they do things in these hills. They've got like grouse butts and things for shooting. Yeah, I'm making my way just down a random area on this hill. Look how high on the hill we are. I think before I came up a sensible route, but it's actually really nice when you acclimatise to the landscape you're in. It's so much fun to explore and just go left and right through it. And all my viewers should go out for an adventure as well if you can and you're capable. The world's got so much to offer out there. It's so much fun looking at places like this. I've actually come down the rocky kind of section here, so I'm not sure what the best route is. But yeah, always explore within your means. Safety is always number one. I wouldn't come to an area like this on your first adventure. I say that often if I'm in certain places. But these old hill forts were obviously no built in places that were super easy to get to. And often they did have an area which was like their main entrance that was easier to get to, and that was so it was easier to defend. You were minimising your angles of defence. But obviously everywhere at a certain time would have been taken over or invaded. Who even knows what happened to these places originally back in those ancient times. Bigger clans or bigger armies probably marched in, and before you knew it, again, history wiped out, cultures changed, religions changed even on the lands. In thousands of years, you have to think, everything's changed so much. And life can literally change at any moment for any of us on planet Earth. It's a fragile thing, the human culture and civilization. Listen to the peace and tranquility. The only sound I can hear is the sound of the wind blowing in the river at the far side of the glen. Or that could even be the sound of the wind blowing the trees over there at the far side of the glen. Now and again I can hear the sheep, and then there's also cows grazing these lower lands in the glen. So I think in the early days of the Scottish lands, it was a normal thing to have hill forts, like smaller hill forts. And then like as time went on, there was bigger hill forts constructed, and that's also what we see with the ones like the Caterans, or the Caterthins I should say, near like Edzell, and hill forts like that. They're far bigger, and I believe from a different time in history to these smaller, more localised hill forts. Look at the way these rocks are here on the hill, folks. Crazy little shelters and bits for the sheep to hide in. And then that little rowan tree there is just growing out of the rocks. And look at this, we can see the sheep grazing down here now in these lands. What madness, folks. I come into some crazy landscapes, and when I got out of the car, I was thinking, what am I doing? Like coming up here on a stormy day. But see if you just push on through, come out of your comfort zone and just send it into the wilderness, folks. Scotland's perfect for it. There's obviously a right to roam, which makes it possible to explore locations like this. And also in Scotland, you have to watch out for gamekeepers and shoots, which is on most weeks in Scotland. There'll be actually shoots on at certain estates, so you have to like obviously no walk into areas which is undergoing that sort of thing. If the shoot's going on, you can't just be walking through the land. So normally in Scotland, if there is shooting and gamekeeping, you're safe enough going exploring on a Sunday, because it's actually a Saturday and stuff that the shooting most likely occurs. I'm just keeping on going down here. This is probably a 45-degree slope, I would say. That would be an accurate measurement. My foot is just on the edge of actually slipping. Oh my goodness, see when I look at the size of some of these boulders, just imagine them rolling down this hill, like, it would be biblical. And look, you can't even see the high clouds anymore up there. You can actually see the highest hills. And these landscapes can change in Scotland just within like half an hour. It can go from being beautiful to extreme. It can go from being extreme to being beautiful. It just, you don't even know what you're going to get. And today I dressed for the most extreme option. There's so much going on in my welly. I look down to see if there's any creatures, and it's just a mad amount of little particles of heather and little bits of plants. So as far as geology and landscape creation goes, this is an excellent point in the land to speak about what occurred. Like at the end of the Ice Age, there was glaciers through all these lands, and there was pockets of water like frozen up in the higher hills, which held a lot of debris and a lot of water. And what actually happened at the end of that time is, once it thawed out, you used to get massive amounts of water coming down the hill, carrying all the rocks, all the debris, and all the land. And that's still something that happens in glaciated landscapes to this day. But this crazy bit I'm sitting on, if you look at the level of the glen at both sides, look at this central piece, and that's literally because this whole area here has come gushing down like a landslide from the top of the hill at an ancient time. And that's what creates the land looking like this. And it still happens to this day in places like Alaska and things like that. It literally happened like a fortnight ago, and that's how I can understand what I'm seeing. You can literally read the land, and if that is the truth and the way it was, you can see how the far away area of the landslide had actually been taken away. I'm not sure if that's been by running water or by human activity, but yeah, these lands are fully carved from the glaciation period. That's a bit of boring history, but like that's what I like to discuss on this channel, as well as what I see up here. I look at the landscape all the way from the glaciation period to now, and you can actually start understanding how it's worked for hundreds and thousands of years. And then that's part of finding the ancient history in it as well. Once you start thinking about these thousands of years, you see how things that would normally look natural and raw end up looking carved and crafted. And that's how we've discovered today's hill fort, folks. On my videos as well, you often hear me getting annoyed at the beasties that flee about, the wasps and such like, that really annoy me when I'm on adventures. And you can see after the summer how fast a lot of those creatures and beasties disappear. Maybe if the sun was shining it would be different, but I'm literally seeing no flies or flying creatures at all, which is a blessing for these adventures, because it's so annoying often when you're trying to dodge too many things in an adventure. And I've not seen any ticks either on my clothes or that, so that's a decent thing. And I think that's because the sheep are within this area and they actually collect a lot of the ticks from the landscape. Yeah, we're making our way down this peak. This was an excellent way to walk up. It was probably the easiest way to approach, and that's why I thought originally it may have been an easy way that they originally approached it. We're reading the land out here as we go, folks. Theorising history like never before. But I'm keeping one eye to the ground for adders as well at this time of year. So obviously we're still at the tail end of summer. It's unlikely if it's not sunny like you would see them. It's normally sunny days they're kicking about like, but look at it from this angle of the hill, folks. Look at this, we've got some mad moss growing on this rock. Then some of that crazy fungus. It's almost like lichen. But yeah, look at the wee hill fort up there on the hill. The shape of it, the lie of the land. There's so much pointers that would say it had been changed and developed at an ancient time, and that's why today's video, it's been so cool to come here and hear this wee adventure, punching on up such an extreme hill, fighting through adversity of the extreme weather and the wind, and making a wee adventure possible for the channel once again, with a fresh location that we had never seen before on the channel. Obviously this time of year, with the amount of ferns, it was slightly harder to see, and maybe one day it will come back, maybe even in the heart of winter when it's freezing, that'll be even more extreme. But you know how this channel is, folks, it's spontaneous adventure after spontaneous adventure. But anyway, I'm ending this one here. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back soon with the next one, wherever I end up going.
Up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah.